hierarchies do dispossess people. Because what happens, I wrote about this in 12 Rules for Life too, is that once you set up a hierarchy, like the number of good plumbers is far outweighed by the number of terrible plumbers. The number of good lawyers is far outweighed by the number of terrible lawyers. And it's true in every single domain. And it's viciously true. It's governed by a law, Price's Law. And Price's Law is a terrible law, but it looks like a law. It governs the size of cities. It governs the size of stars. It governs the height of trees in the rainforest. It's another one of these laws that isn't specifically, it isn't specific to human endeavor. That which has gets more. Bigger stars accrete more mass because they have more gravitational pull. So they just get bigger and bigger. So, and bigger cities are more attractive because they produce more opportunity. So they get bigger and bigger. And so taller trees get more light, so they get taller and taller, right? Skillful people get more and more opportunities, and so they get more and more skillful. That's what happens. Rich people, because they have money, have more and more opportunities to make more money, so they make more money. You know, the 1%, you hear about that all the time. You're all in the 1%, by the way. By world standards, you're in the 1%. By historical standards, you're probably in the 1/1000th of 1%. So that's a good thing to know if you're feeling poor. You're not that poor, man. So you know, you hear a lot about the 1%, but what you don't hear is that it's an iron law of hierarchy. And it doesn't matter what the hierarchy is, it produces exactly that distribution. Hardly anyone ends up with everything. 12 richest people in the world have as much money as the bottom 2.5 billion. Think, oh my God, that's terrible. It's a terrible cataclysmic consequence of the capitalist system. No, it's not. And one of the things that's really interesting about capitalism in the West is that every system produces unbelievable inequality and a lot of misery and grief. And the West has figured out how to produce inequality and some wealth, right? So the inequality, that's a catastrophe. Good luck sorting it out. The wealth, that's a bloody miracle. That's absolutely unbelievable, because the rule for all of human history was plenty of inequality, no shortage of starvation and misery, and a little bit of luxury for the tiny set of people who are at the top. And for the last 150 years, not much more than that, the bottom has been being lifted up at an absolutely unbelievable rate. So we produce inequality, but thank God we produce wealth at the same time, and we're kicking the hell out of absolute poverty. You know, the number of people in absolute poverty in the world by the UN definition of absolute poverty fell by half between 2000 and 2012, sorry. That one of the UN Millennium Goals was to have the number of people in absolute poverty by the year 2015. We did that 3 years early, right? It was the fastest growth in wealth in human history by a huge margin. And the same thing is happening on an unbelievably immense scale. You know that child mortality rates in Africa are now the same as they were in Europe in 1950. It's absolutely beyond belief. Plummeting maternal death rates in childbirth everywhere around the world. Plummeting family size. We're going to peak out at about 9.5 billion. We can probably handle that. And then there's going to be a precipitous decline in human population. That's well projected out into the next 75 years. There are more forests in the Northern Hemisphere than there were 100 years ago. People are getting access to fresh water and plumbing and electricity and unbelievably potent computational devices at a rate that is absolutely beyond comprehension. I don't think you could speed it up if you tried. The fastest growing economies in the world are in sub-Saharan Africa. It's like this system that we've put together, which is based at least on part on the production of competent hierarchies, is producing an increment a decrement in absolute poverty at a rate that's absolutely staggering. And people don't know it. And most of this has been happening in the last 20 years. So it's something to be extraordinarily grateful for. And it's something as well for us to wake up about, you know.